Joined now by a variety of people who live in South Manchester, all from the Muslim community, some Asian, some Libyan, and the streets here are really busy because everyone's coming out. There's a big football match on tonight in which Manchester United are playing, and people come out into the cafes to watch the match. But I want to begin with Ayub Shabani, because you're a British Libyan, and you worshipped at the same mosque, the Disbury Mosque, as the bomber. Was his family well known?
His family, his father used to be the person that called to prayer, but he wasn't really well known in the masjid. People have said that he's a frequent worshipper of the mosque, but he's rarely seen. I've never seen him myself, so I wouldn't say that he actually is an attendee at the masjid.
Now, obviously, a lot of Libyans here were involved in the revolution 5 years ago, and people went there and came back, and most have lived completely peaceful and ordinary lives in this country. But were you at all aware that there was this tiny minority fringe who had been drawn into violence?
I've not been aware of any people that have been drawn into violence at all.
So you weren't aware that this kind of thing was even a risk?
No, not within our community, no.
So how do you feel today? I mean, I know you can't speak for your community, but just for yourself.
Well, it's a tragedy.
About what's happening now and in terms of the reaction.
What's happening now is the same as any other suffering that's happening throughout the world. It's bad things. There's bad people in every community, and there's not all we can do is our thoughts and prayers go out to the people that are suffering. That's about it.
Well, this is the biggest Libyan community in Europe, but most of the people in this area for generations have been from the Asian community. Now, Ines Hamza, you're a student.
I am a student.
How do you feel today as you see how Britain is reacting to what's happened?
Well, I was at the vigil yesterday at Albert Square, and to be fair, the biggest feeling that I've had so far was a feeling of hope, because at the vigil was a beautiful celebration of not just the people's lives who we lost, but a beautiful celebration of the city, and that, I think, love inspires love. And one of my favourite quotes that I think is quite relevant and quite poignant at times of all tragedy is that darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Okay. And hatred cannot drive out hatred, only love can do that.
That's very eloquent. Let me come over here, because you work in education. Just tell me who you are and where you're from.
My name's Jackie, I'm from Stretford, and I work in Oldham Sixth Form College.
Do you feel afraid at all about what's going on at the moment and what the risks are?
Initially, I was very worried and anxious. I was actually in the MEN on Friday night with a group of friends. We were go-karting. We came out about 10:30, 11, roughly the same time that it happened on Monday. And I could have been there. My children could have been fatherless, So it was a very, very thought-provoking event for me.
But you're involved in dealing with young people and stopping radicalisation as well at your level, aren't you?
Indeed. And I think the real difference is made at grassroots. Teachers in education, teachers in our religious institutes, community centres, and I think Oldham Sixth Form has a very, very good approach to this following the riots in 2001. Staff there, past and present, have done a very good job of being proactive in making sure people are nurtured and debates are had, so they live a very moral life, and people live.
So are you saying there are lessons from the way you're doing it that could be applied here? Because clearly, I mean, it needs to be stepped up again, doesn't it?
I think Manchester has shown its true character, and today we're hearing reports that people have been, abused a little bit, but that's a minority. There's been so many good things happening over the last few days, which shows that a lot of good work has been done for so many years in Manchester.
Let me just come over here, Abdul Kayam. You're a businessman here.
Yes.
Whose responsibility do you think it is to stop this kind of thing happening?
Well, I think it's a global issue, so we should be addressing it in that sense, and as a whole community. It's not just a Muslim community, it's not just one faith, it should be as a whole community, and that's the only way we can tackle it.
But as we're here in the community, what can the community do more of that it isn't doing now?
Well, I personally think what we are lacking at the moment is that integration within all the faiths. If we have sort of workshops, it's not just the students who are going to mosque or temples or elsewhere. What we need to do is engaging the parents, engaging those faith institutes with the school, and along with the government giving that support properly have training, because parents don't know how to help them.
You're shaking your head. Why?
I disagree completely. My message is to the Muslim community today. Muslims are the ones who are the collateral damage of this kind of attack. I don't think the Muslim community can do any more than they're already doing. This is nothing that we have to be apologetic for. We have done nothing wrong. Individuals are responsible for their own actions. My message is that be proud of who you are as a Muslim. It's a gift that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed upon you. It's a mercy from Him. Use it wisely and be good with it. And don't be afraid. And if you get attacked in Islamophobia, then you report it. But do not come to the Muslims and say that we need to do more. We're doing everything we can, Christian. Muslim charities have already given money to the
But
victims'
not
families.
everybody thinks that, do they? I mean, you clearly think more can be done by everybody.
Certainly, I think, again, what I would say, it's not just the domestic issues which are influencing that, it's, again, international issues. What I would say, like 30 years back, there were not these sort of incidents. I was not afraid, but now, globally, never mind all in the Europe, in the Asia, Africa, you see everywhere, it's on the rise. And we need to tackle this, and we need to
So those messages need to be reinforced.
definitely we need to find ways out.
Let me just come over here, Sid. Tell me about your reaction and your feelings at the moment to what you're hearing, because obviously what we're seeing as this time goes on is a lot of people saying, the community needs to do more, we need to crack down. There are columnists in national newspapers calling for internment. How does that make you feel?
First, well, basically, it's devastating to hear what has happened. When I found out the news, what can I say? It was devastating. We do need to, as Muslims, listen. I don't need to prove anything. I'm a good Muslim. I know I'm a good Muslim. My friends, everyone who I interact with, they know that I'm a good Muslim. I'm not here to prove anything, but I'm here to say that we need to stand together, stand united, and help fight this. And as Manchester, we are standing together. I mean, I was at the vigil yesterday. Fantastic crowd. We were there together, and I know people are there together to support each other, and that's what we're here for. And we will tackle it together.
What do you think the result of this will be, though? Do you think the backlash, which appears to be starting in some places,
It's already started, yeah.
will further radicalise young people here?
Oh, I don't want to think that far. I want to tackle it before anything happens. I want to help our community, the world, the globe, everywhere where we can possibly help. But yes, Islamophobia will probably rise now. There have been attacks on Muslim women.
And what will be the effect of that on young Muslim men? I mean, won't they feel further isolated?
What do you think? I mean, obviously, hate with hate. People will retaliate.
So there is a real risk, is what we're saying here,
there is a
that
risk.
this will make things worse.
Oh, it's all about ignorance. It's all about awareness. We need to make people aware of, what Islam is really about, because that's not what our Islam teaches us.
Let me just come to you very briefly. Who are you and where have you come from?
I'm Owais Darty. I'm from Old Trafford. I'm a freelance imam. I actually work with the youth as well. And acknowledging, I did a lot of work with the youth as well, educating them regarding these particular incidents, because we have had within our community some of the youngsters who have been and joined in Syria. But we've done and we will continue to do our level best. But that doesn't mean that there's a stop after a certain incident. We will continue to doing, and we will up the game to the best of our level.
What could help? One thing that could really help you?
So we can actually take a bit further measures than what we're doing right now. So more interaction with the youth, going on further, explaining to them the rules and regulations of Islam itself and its Sharia, because people tend to translate Sharia according to their own understanding. But you need to actually, what you have got to do is get it from the correct source, and that is the scholars that we have on board. And that's where we find the exact rules of Sharia, which we have to follow, their principles.
Well, thank you all very much indeed for joining us here tonight. I'm sorry we didn't have more time, but it's the beginning of a conversation. Now back to John.